want to change the heat, do that.
Okay.
And the zones are labeled. Normally, this one is not, but normally they're labeled.
Okay.
But they do.
So schedules, weather, system zones. Okay.
So your schedules, that's if you want to program it. Now most people, your people that you're talking about, are not going to need a schedule. For the most part. They're going to be home
Unless they travel.
all the time.
Yes, they travel. Which they do.
Or if they travel.
Okay. Used to.
They're not, but they're not going to need to really run a schedule. They're not leaving to go to work for the day.
Fair enough.
And then turn the unit up and then turn it back, on their way home.
Cool.
So schedules is not super important for the retired,
And the humidity. George has kind of given me some good knowledge on humidity. So talk to me about
So
this.
this is what controls the fan a little bit. So this is your humidity control. So when you turn, let's say we want 45. So what it's going to do, it's not going to just get down to 45. What that's going to do is it's going to tell that system, okay, every time I run, I need to slow that fan down to achieve, or to try to achieve, the humidity setting that they're asking for.
Well, what would a humidity setting be? I don't have something.
Normal is between 45 and 50.
And is that because of our spray foam insulation that it changes that, or is it the same no matter what? There's no.
No, that's just
You
normal
don't adjust
humidity
it.
you would see.
Calculate it.
Code design is 50%. A house is supposed to be designed that on a 91 degree day, George, here? Is it 91? On a 91 degree day, you maintain 75 in the house and 50% humidity. That's what code is. 91 or 92 degrees, you maintain 75 in the house and 50% humidity. Okay. So when you get, we would get service calls and somebody says my unit's not keeping up and it's 100 degrees out,
Nobody
it's
says.
probably not going to keep up at 75, or some people like 72 or 70 degrees. It's no way it's going to do it. The physics just don't work.
Okay.
That's the way we design systems.
So George and I have a client, and she's got an M-house, and they wanted to put a dehumidifier in. And George says, I think this system will, because her conditions are much worse the higher the humidity is. So their old Hagood house has a dehumidifier, and that keeps it. I think George around 40% or something. You thought we could get we thought we could get close to 45. 45
with that XV system.
Yeah, HV. They have an HV system, so we'll see if that works for them. I think that's a big selling point, is that the humidity element of the system is so efficient.
Yeah, I don't know. It could be so customized.
Absolutely, because that's what really makes you.
Yeah.
hot
Right.
and
And the XV systems are even more proficient at hitting that target. I mean, my downstairs in my house will get below 40s in the summer when it's really running.
So people say, I hear people, walk through say, you always keep the fan on or don't always keep the fan on. What's the rule of thumb?
Fan, it
Off.
should always be an auto.
Auto.
And are you good with the fireplace in the winter going on and getting the house nice and warm and coming and putting the fan on?
Now in the winter time, if they want to run the fan
I'm sorry, excuse me.
in on or in circulation mode, they can, but only in the winter. You would not want to do that in the summer.
And then, I don't know if they still do it, but you always used to hear, and put the fan going one direction in the summer or the other direction, kind of move a little
on
over that it
a
stays.
ceiling fan?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. You want it blowing down in the summer to create a breeze on you, and then blowing up so that it pushes that hot air like this
Distributes it.
through the room. Well, hot air rises, so it takes that natural draft and pushes it around the room. So.
Is there any other features of the thermostat you want to show us?
So some of the other features, you have a system info. It's just going to have any alerts. If there's any, faults with the system, it would tell you there. It does have
So in the middle of
some
the night, if there's a
information.
problem, it's going to start alerting?
Right. There is also in the about tells you what software version, because they do update the software on it from time to time. If it's not hooked up to the internet, we do, and I carry it in my pocket. That's a software update right there that I can.
But to get the most use out of this unit, you need to hook it to the internet, correct?
The most efficient use, yes. To be able to control it by your phone is the most efficient way. Because people forget, you leave your house, run to the grocery store for an hour, and you forgot to turn the thermostat up a couple degrees, you can do it on your phone once you get to the store, and then turn it down when you leave. Just some things like that. Or if you leave for 4 hours and you forgot, I wanted to turn the thermostat up, you can do it on your phone. So it is a convenience thing. Once it's hooked up, it's
Let me ask you this.
very simple. I have it on my phone, which I can show you guys.
So the thermostat, it doesn't matter if we just have a
So
train
this is
system.
the app, and this is what it looks like at my house.
So I can have that thermostat on my system. It does the same thing, or is it?
You
have
can
to
put
go-
this thermostat on any system.
Okay.
They do have things to do that with, yes. And literally, to change the temperature, you just hit cool.
Got it.
That's
Pretty
it.
simple.
Before you go home.
I
That's
mean,
pretty awesome.
it doesn't really get any more simple than that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's literally, that's why I tell people, if you hook it up to the internet and put it on your phone, it's actually even more easier.
Yeah, to control.
Because you literally just hit cool, up or down.
Yeah. And so the way this thermostat's set, where it's at 72 at cool and the heat at 66. So if the house drops below 66, the heat will come on. If the house goes up to 72, the air will come on.
It has to go almost
Or
1
have it
degree
yeah.
above set point. So
Gotcha.
right now, it has to hit almost 73 degrees before it will come on. Usually it's about a half a degree. You don't see that because they don't give you half degrees
Sure.
on the display, but it hits about 72 and a half, and then it will kick on, and it will cool past 72 about a half a degree.
So then I don't need to come in and say, oh, it's hot out. I need to go ahead and put my air on. It's already automatically calculated.
Set in there, yeah.
Interesting.
Yep.
So you should never have to adjust it. I mean, you said
Yeah, once you
you're
find,
done.
Your sweet
you know,
spot.
yeah, I mean, I tell people this all the time. It took me a year in my house to know it, to where to set my thermostats, where I'm comfortable.
And different houses feel different. Like my new house, I set a different temperature than my old house because it feels different on the inside. Which
Number
is,
one, thermostats can be off a degree or two from one another. So you go I could go from this house to the next house next door, and that thermostat could be 1 degree difference than this one.
Yeah.
There is a little bit of a factor in there that you can have is, a 1 degree swing. So
how would you compare this thermostat to a Nest thermostat? That's what people most are familiar with. So
far superior.
To a Nest, is that what you said, Josh?
George can tell you firsthand of his experience with a Nest. I'll let him.
a Nest will mess. I had an issue with my HVAC system, and they think it was caused by a Nest, but it caused my unit to flood. Like the house itself, like the handler where the air was supposed to come through was completely submerged in water that was blocking all the air coming through the system. Like it was like gallons and gallons and gallons of water inside the system.
Well, there was an issue, right, George? They were bringing on the compressors when the system wasn't supposed to be on. It was bringing on heat strips when they weren't supposed to be on. So, yeah, there was an issue.
Because that's what you had? You had Nest?
No.
Oh, you had to because...
I
He
put
used
one
to
in.
install them.
Yeah. I never wanted to install them, and a friend of mine got one.
That's right.
I was being nice to the system for friends of mine and put it in, and ended up it was the Nest thermostat was bringing the compressor on middle of the night because the Nest thinks that it learns you. So it was thinking, okay, it needs to do this for whatever reason, and it was bringing the compressor on to run the electric bill up.
Now, let me show y'all one other thing on here.
And you paid it?
Is when you go into settings,
Yeah,
some of the settings that you have.
Aw.
And this is a neat feature because this allows you to restrict access to the thermostat. The homeowner, if they have young kids, they
Need
don't
that
want
in
them touching
the office.
with it, they can restrict the access. You can also
Josh found out the hard way.
you can change the screen layout. So if I wanted to constantly monitor humidity, I can add that to the main screen, and just by putting indoor humidity, hitting apply, and you go back, and now it's constantly displayed.
Oh, that's cool.
So like you would say before, we should put it at 50?
And you can also touch it, and we'll take you to the humidity setting, which is set at 50 right now.
So it's set at 50. Why isn't it at 50?
Well, we're all standing here right
Okay.
now,
I'm
right?
just curious.
And
You're breathing on it, Nora.
Yeah.
And
I
then
just want to see because
It's
people say,
the
well,
air's
it's
not
so
running
bad.
because we have no load right now. So if the air doesn't run, it can't control the humidity.
Oh, interesting.
So that is one factor that on these lax days like this, the humidity can creep up. Okay,
So-
because the air's not running.
Is there a way to get it to turn on both by temperature and by humidity? Like, whereas if it needs it for a certain temperature and then also a humidity control, like, so say it was 60% humidity in here and you want it 55,
So
but the
train-
temperature didn't require it, can it still turn on just to reduce the humidity?
So I have not used the feature yet, but they do offer electric heat dehumidification. It can get costly, but it is there. You'll bring on the electric heaters
Even
and
in
the
the
air
summertime?
conditioner.
Oh, wow.
Bring on the electric heaters and the air conditioner at the same time, and that will dehumidify the house.
It's way commercial.
But it will cost a fortune.
Yeah.
But it is there, okay? So it is an option.
So your meter, electric meter on the outside.
We don't really want to talk about it. Like I said, I have not set one up yet because
Gotcha.
once I say electric heat comes on, no, end of conversation. So
So do these have emergency heat strips?
yes, they do. And how you access that, if you have anybody wants to know how you turn your emergency heat on, it's in your system mode. You hit system mode, and then it's going to have system options. So you go to system options, and then emergency heat is right there, and you would then enable it.
Would this work with the gas heat?
Yes, it's compatible with all systems that Train sells. If you put this on, let's say your house, you put gas in your house and you wanted to put this thermostat on, now we have to install what's called a relay panel to make this particular thermostat. Now they do make a smaller one. It's a smaller version of this that will work with any 24 volt standard heating and air system.
How much does something like this cost?
If
Like if
somebody
I
was
want
to
it
buy
one.
it for their house,
Yeah.
that thermostat is what, around $600
Woo!
installed.
That is an expensive thermostat.
It's expensive.
But it does more than, I mean, it does zone systems, I mean, it does everything
Right.
across.
And that's the included thermostat with all of our houses?
Yes.
Wow.
Now the standard thermostat, which is just a smaller version, but it'll do the same thing that this one will do as far as functionality, except for zoning, is like $350.
So what does our competition use?
Mostly Honeywell.
Yeah.
And
That's the
a
350
couple of
model?
it. No.
They're like
another
$100,
brand.
aren't they?
I'm talking about this. The smaller one I'm talking about is a Train thermostat. But most other companies are using either Honeywell's or Nest's or some other third party.
So a Nest is $250 and this is $600.
And this is custom to Train.
Yes, proprietary. And does have a 10-year warranty. So
Wow, who knew what we didn't know?
The idea, last thing is the idea about having a Nest system, what Jim's always said is that you're not supposed to be taking and messing around with the temperature with a heat pump, right? It's supposed
Right.
to go on, stay
Set
on,
it.
and boom.
right.
With the Nest, is these guys are sitting there, retired guys are sitting there, and they're dinking around with the damn thing up and down, 14 times a day because they have it on their phone. Let's just go ahead and raise it up and raise it down.
Let's see here. You can also set a one-touch preset. So you have away, home, or sleep. So it gets set up as in your older clients. It's a one-touch. So when they're trying to leave their house, if they don't want to have it on their phone, they can just come over here and just hit away. I'm leaving. And then that way when they come home, they just hit
that's
home,
nice.
and it changes it back without them having to fool with the actually turning it up or down.
Oh, you have
So
a
what
sleep
about-
one?
Set that.
Turn it down to 66 degrees?
Yep.
That's what that sleep one's for.
So what about when people say you should not ever, when you come home and it's really hot out and it was cool this morning, put it more than 3 degrees at one time?
Yeah, I mean, you don't, in the wintertime,
still
that's
safe?
more,
That's the
in the
winter.
wintertime, it's more prevalent
Okay.
than the summer.
Because
The summer,
heat strips
Yes.
are
like if you're not home for a
That's why it's
couple of
more
days,
cost-effective.
you want to set the thermostat on about 80, and then when you come home, you can crank it down to 72 if you want. It won't hurt
Really?
nothing, yeah.
Interesting, I didn't know.
But if you come home and it's a winter, when
Right.
it's really cold, and you put it back up
Just
to
about
70,
2 degrees really is what you
and
want to
you'll
go.
see it go all auxiliary heat or
Yeah.
emergency heat,
You
and
want
that's the heat
Put it up
strips.
2 degrees, and then wait till it almost hits that 2 degree mark, and then
But if you have gas heat, you can do whatever you want. right?
yes,
No, you're good.
Correct.
Good, Josh.
correct. If you have gas, it doesn't matter.
I have gas. Wham.
And that's another thing too that you guys could sell. We've put that in Roberto's house is the dual fuel. You can give them a gas and heat pump option. So that is something else.
He just called me.
I know you did.
Oh, you do?
You just gave his
He
number.
just called him probably.
You forget, I'm kind of involved.
That's why-
Most of my clients, especially Roberto's, okay? Yes.
So
That's that gift that keeps on giving, George, okay? I knew that you were in trouble when you called me